Okay, I call this meeting of the Chippewa County Board of Commissioners to order. As always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would Commissioner Cooper start us with the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would the clerk please take roll call attendance?
Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Commissioner Kinsella.
Here.
Commissioner McLean.
Here.
Commissioner Postula.
Here.
Chairman Shackleton.
Here. So we have everybody here, and we have next on our agenda additions or deletions to the agenda. Would anybody like to propose such?
Are we going to add an item under new business for meeting time?
I think we could do that, perhaps under old business.
Okay.
It probably doesn't make a lot of difference, but since...
I don't care.
Okay. So that's, I think you're referring to the summer meeting schedule for
Yes.
the regular board?
Yeah,
Okay. Why don't you make that in the form of a motion, if you
I
will?
will. I'll motion it to go under old business.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion made and supported to discuss the meeting times of the board for the summer meetings. Is there any discussion? This is just to add it to the agenda. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. So we still need to approve the agenda. Are there any other additions or deletions?
I'll move approval of the agenda as amended.
Support.
Motion made and supported to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Correspondence received in the clerk's office. We have a number of items. As always, it's on page 1 of the packets.
I move that we acknowledge the receipt of the items in the clerk's office and forward to the various committees as appropriate.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Postula, that the correspondence be received and forwarded where appropriate. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to the approval of the county board minutes. We have a regular meeting of March 10th, 2014. And those minutes are on page 3 of the packet.
I'll move approval.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Cooper, to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting March 10th, 2014. Is there discussion?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I want to publicly acknowledge the efforts of the clerk in including the change in public comment. I noticed that when I read through it, we got to that section, she had indicated who the speaker was and encapsulated what their comments were, and I think that's really appropriate. And having been a person that has come before the board years ago and made public comment, I like to see this because it is a reminder of what was said, and it also acknowledges the participation of the community, and I think that was a fine addition. I'd like to praise her for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McLean. Any other comments? All in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Okay, we move to the public comment period of our meeting. I'd like to welcome you all. Some of you, it's the second time I've seen you here, so that's kind of nice to have you back. I know we have a item on our agenda that I would assume that most of you are in attendance for, are interested in, and would be interested in either seeing the meeting or commenting, and this is going to be your opportunity. What I did was, what we've been doing since this courtroom got set up was the microphones were at the table, and I wanted you to be able to come speak without having to come sit down at the table. So we moved the podium up a little bit and put the microphone up there. We just did this just before we started the meeting. There is a cord on the floor. I'd ask you to just be careful and watch that you don't catch your foot on it. I don't think you will, but I just want to make you aware of it. When you come up, please let us know who you are, and I want to give everybody who wants to speak an opportunity, so just try to be reasonable about the amount of time that you take so that we can move on and let everybody speak who would want to. So who'd like to start off with public comment? Mayor Bosbos, please come on up to the podium. I feel like this is Judge Judy or something.
Thank you very much, Tony Bosbos, Citizen Sault Ste. Marie. Great job on the old commission chambers. I didn't recognize this.
Yeah.
Really nice job. Just want to take a quick amount of your time, talk in support of NTI, Northern Transitions. It's just, they've been in business a very long time, started out as a sheltered workshop. They provide a tremendous service in our community. And I think they continue to do an admirable and courageous and commendable service in the community. Smith Sanitation is a good company. We've just had a contract with them with the city. And in that contract, we talked about making sure that if they had items that were collectibles and they could recycle, that they use NTI as at that place. NTI owns the building that they're on, and the only focus for that is because they do all the recyclables, and without that business, they would not be able to continue using that building. So I, for one, think private business is great. It's great that they're here in the community. We couldn't live without private business, but a public entity that provides a tremendous service in the community, and I think I think they have 22 or 25 individuals with special needs that would find a tough time being employed anywhere else. And they looked at, back when they were Shelter Workshop, they looked at what might be available, I think, as an entity that could serve those kind of people. And I think the recyclable activities are something that they thrive on and they work very hard at. And it really does fill a real void in our community. So we really speak as a community member. I think a lot of people support the millage because of what they do as an entity. And I think, they deal with Michigan Works, which I was a member of the Michigan Works Board for well over 30 years. And they were the entity that provided the services of people with special needs and continue to do that. So I would certainly ask the commission to continue the support for NTI. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand that family demands are requiring you to leave immediately, so
Thanks.
I just want to let folks know that he's has to make a hasty exit. So, who else would like to come up and speak next under public comment? Kathy?
And it's only because I have a meeting at 4:15 that I have to get to over at City Hall. So, Kathy Twardy, Sault Ste. Marie City Commission. I want to agree with the mayor, what the mayor said. I think that NTI is a very important program in our town. And I have a specific example why. I graduated from Sioux Area High School in 1987 when Mr. McLean was there. And you might remember one specific student with the first name of Clarence. I don't have his last name.
I know.
So I do have his last name, but I'm not at liberty to talk. So anyway, I ran into him about a week and a half ago. And I get a little emotional because when I went to high school with Clarence, he didn't have a whole lot of opportunities for a future. And you remember why. But I ended up talking to his supervisor that evening, and Clarence has been gainfully employed at his position for almost 20 years. He came through NTI 20 years ago. And when I talked to his supervisor, he said that he is one of the most dedicated, hardworking employees that he's ever had the opportunity to work with. He's never late, he rarely calls in sick, and he's always there giving 110%. And so I'm worried if we do get rid of this millage, that really puts NTI at financial difficulty, that there are a lot of people like that in this community that won't be able to have the opportunities to get trained. What would Clarence's life have been like? He wouldn't have been able to be self-sufficient like he is now. And I was so proud of him, and that's why I get kind of a clump, because when I went to high school, like I said with him, he didn't have a whole lot of bright future in front of him. And so that's what this service allows people like that to get through. It allows them to be able to make enough money to survive and to live. And so I'm in full support of the millage. I feel like you have to pay for recycling anyway. Why not support a program that you believe in and that I know really gives this county and this city a good service? that's all I have to say. So thank
Okay.
you very much. I gotta get to my meeting, so
Yeah.
good luck and keep it good.
All right, thank you. Okay, public comment is still open for whoever would like to come out and speak next. Come on up.
Ed Detour, obviously Director of Northern Transitions. It's good to be here. I feel like almost old company here. I've been back here 3 times. I'm here, and one, it's nice to hear positive things from the community members, talk about NTI, but I also know the reason we're here is to talk about millage. And millage is for a service, and the service is for recycling. And that's what we should concentrate on a little bit here too. And what that is what we are proud of. We think we provide a really good service. We are in all 15 townships, and we do a lot of work. We think that the services that we've been giving to the people of Chippewa County has been strong, and that's why we get every millage is passed with votes, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 to 1, and we were proud of that. I'm proud to be a citizen of this county to think to even have a program like this. I've heard over the last couple of weeks comparisons to other programs. There are different programs. I would put our program to any program in the state. Are we as big as or as flashy as every program? No, we are not. But we have a unique program that not only provides good services to the people who are paying the millage for the recycling, but it also secondary provides a service to the people who need the work, that placement. I've heard numbers thrown around like number 9 people, 9 people. No, 9 people come to us who have barriers to employment that happen to be funded by HBH. Also, 7 or 8 are non-funded by HBH, old clients that we continue to serve. We have people coming from MRS. We have people coming from the PATH program from Michigan Works. We have people coming from the Michigan Prisoner Reentry program, where I work with every counselor and every parole agent in the area. And I'm sure they'd stand up and say what we do. We provide services 25 to 30 people. Do all those people work 28 hours? No. Some work 25, some work 28, some work 5 or 6, depending on the needs of the individual and depending on the needs of the recycling center. We don't put people in there just to use up space. We use them because we need them to do the service. And we don't just milk this for that. I've heard in a comment that over 80% of the millage went to administrative costs. Where is that figure coming from? We publish and give to the county every year our budget, and we give about 7%, 7.5% of our money from that millage services goes to administrative costs. That's $50-some thousand, not $380,000. Where do these figures come from? I've heard all kinds of stuff being thrown out, and it just gets more mixed up and more mixed up. NTI, I think, is very proud of what we do. We provided these services for a long time in conjunction with the city, the county, the townships, and also with our own agency. We have an oversight board that looks at everything that we do. We submit our 990s, we submit our budgets, and we spend any kind of information reasonably to people. So we're very proud of what we do, and I think all you commissioners ought to be proud. You've supported this for a long time, and I just think this is a good thing. And I know that I'm a little self-serving as the administrator, but I think I have to speak out for the people who have these kinds of services and needs. And if we don't speak out for them, and we're not careful, if we're not careful, all of recycling services in Chippewa County could fall apart. I know that there's private vendors coming out and looking that they can make all kinds of promises and ideas and suggestions, but that doesn't make it so. That doesn't make it reality. That's just talk until services are started. And then once it goes private, then possibly that could all fall apart. I've seen a lot of private entities start and end. And then we left holding the bag, our buildings closed down, the equipment's distributed and gone, and people are out of work. And the idea that I can find, as our agency can find all these people other jobs, well, good luck with that. I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm telling you, we cannot do that. And anybody that says we can doesn't know a squat about rehabilitation services. It's just very difficult in this community. We continue to do that day in and day out, and we will continue to do that. And if we did lose these jobs, we would make every effort to place every one of those individuals. But the idea that we could do that successfully is probably not going to happen. And I hope you give us and continue to support us. And I hope that people in this community will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. open to public comment if someone else would like to speak. Come on up to the microphone. Sorry, I'm not in any hurry. I cleared my schedule for the day. I figured we'd be here for a while.
I'm Allison Youngs. I live in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. One of the reasons we've always voted to pass this millage is the fact that it does employ Northern Transitions. I mean, I know that's one of the reasons we vote for it. What is going to happen to all those people? How many people will the, Smith Sanitation employ? Are they going to have the same drop-off sites? Or are we going to have to drive all the way out to 9 Mile like we do during spring cleanup where we can't drop it off in the city anymore? Are they still going to recycle particle board, which is one of the things they've recently done here, and all plastics? Because I know there's a private place in town. They don't take all plastics. They only take 1 and 2. And anytime you privatize, you add another layer of profit. So where's that going to come from for the the main thing is I'm here because my dad couldn't come today, but his main thing is the people that they employ. And where else are they going to find jobs? That's one of the reasons we vote on this millage year after, from time to time, is who they employ.
Thank you. Who'd like to come on?
Hello, I'm Johan Engold, and I have been involved with the sheltered workshop before it was a sheltered workshop. Actually, I was involved in writing the first grant that allowed us to rent the facility for this operation. During all those years that I have been on the board and participated with the sheltered workshop, we had a very good relationship with the county. The county was instrumental in helping us to go to the place where it is now located. It was instrumental in helping the workshop to get operating with the recycling. At the same time, the workshop involvement for the county has helped with the millage election every time it came up. And I think this needs to be understood too, that the people of the county appreciate the work that is done by the sheltered workshop. They appreciate the way the recycling is being handled through the county, and they appreciate the fact that they can go there and unload when they have something that can be saved. I would hope that you would take into consideration the fact that the recycling alone is only part of the reason that this is an ongoing process. The other part of it is that it helps a number of people who need help in order to become contributing citizens in one way or another to the community. And I would hope that you would keep that in mind when you make your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Who else would like to speak? Mr. Smith.
Jim Smith, owner of Smith Sanitation, and I'd like to start out by saying I'm not unsympathetic to what NTI has done in the community, and they have helped a lot of people out before. I've said this on different occasions. I just don't know where everybody says that all these jobs are going to go away. They get funding from many other places, and I do believe that there are many other alternatives to train these folks in different areas, and we would have a better program for the whole county. And eventually, I strongly believe, like other programs, Emmett County's been doing it for 20 years without a millage. And like, everybody's just as stuck on that all these jobs are gonna go away. Why do they have to go away? There's funding out there, there's many other things that NTI trains in, and they do a good job at. And like I say, some people felt I come off a little strong last meeting of NTI. I certainly have no personal vendettas against NTI or anybody that runs it. And I did say in the last meeting that I would be willing to work with NTI. I said it also in the Billings Financial and Grounds meeting that I would be willing to employ or work with NTI. Ted was at that meeting, Jim German was at that meeting. Apparently Ted didn't remember that because he stated otherwise, but I'm willing to do for this community. I'm very active in a lot of community things myself. Matter of fact, I coach red yard baseball for no fee, but I got practice at 5:30 here this evening. But I'm a member of Kinross, very active in the Kinross Lions Clubs, other things. I believe in community and I believe in a lot of these things. I just think the Trout Lake Township Supervisor stated that the Ute bus goes all the way out to Trout Lake for one person. I mean, that's a great gesture, but where's enough is enough. I mean, Trout Lake's a long ways, and then you gotta go drop that person back off. Financial times aren't great in this area. And people just simply can't keep getting taxed and taxed and taxed. We just can't afford it. And there's a couple guys that on the board here that seem interested in getting all the facts out, and some that just won't listen to it at all. But I just urge you to consider other options, especially when we can take these folks and give them training in many other areas.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Well, public comment is still open if anybody'd like to speak.
Sorry if I'm a little lovely, I just had back surgery. My name is Shirley Farnquist, and I would urge you to pass the millage. Northern Transition, back when I was working for Cloverland, did a lot of work for us. And then it came about we didn't have enough work for them to do. But the thing I would like to say is I did a story up there on them, and they were just elated, these people. The story won Michigan of the Year award story, and every day, well, those people that I had interviewed and put as part of that program and into the story would write me or call me. I mean, if that isn't heartwarming. And there's a commissioner that sits here whose sister was one of the ones that I interviewed, and she was just so proud. So I think there's other things that we have to take into consideration. And I did sit on the Workforce Development Board for about 10 or 12 years, so I think it's a great program, and I would encourage it. Thank you.
Come on up. Who'd like to speak next?
I'm Dana Sanderson. I am the president of the board at Northern Transition, so obviously I have a leaning a little bit in that direction. I also happen to be a small business owner in town, and I also happen to be a registered social worker. So I have a lot of different perspectives on this situation, and I think my initial thought when I had planned to come up was basically just to say that 24 years of service with a very effective, positive working relationship between Northern Transitions and various other entities in the county and in the city is something that I don't think we can discount. I think that's important because I think that demonstrates a history of fiscal responsibility. I think that demonstrates an acceptance on the part of Northern Transitions to be open to working with a lot of things as they come and changes, because we've all seen changes in the community and in the recycling program and the growth and the things that have gone on in that 24-year time period, and I think Northern Transitions has responded to them effectively. And as Mr. Ingold had pointed out, we started out as Sioux Sheltered Workshop. We're now Northern Transitions, The services have continued to be effective, and I think the citizens have shown that they're very satisfied with that based on repeatedly approving the millage, and I just don't think we can discount that. The social work side of me wants to say, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but quite frankly, to suggest that the people whose jobs would be compromised by this could easily be placed in jobs elsewhere is not true. The funding sources at Northern Transitions and the structure is very complicated, and I'm certain that anybody who's interested in learning more about how the funding comes in and how it goes out, recycling is a portion of what they do. There's a whole lot of other things that happen and a whole lot of other funding. This is an entity that continues to be successful year after year. No one person profits financially from Northern Transitions. Nobody does. Everyone that works there is paid a fair wage. That's how it operates. But no one person is benefiting financially. My fear is that if you take a process like recycling and it becomes something that is one individual or one business is looking at as a profit-based process, that will change the relationship between the county, the city, and the entity who's doing the processing. I think the fact that Northern Transitions is nonprofit and has had this very long history of effective relationship with the county and the city, and I think the satisfaction of the customers who receive the services, which would be the citizens of this area, I think that that really has to be looked at long and hard before any decisions are made to make any changes to that. It's an effective program. We all know that. Nobody's even questioning if Northern Transitions has done an excellent job. I think it's coming down to perhaps money, and I think that there is more to this than just money. And when you look at all these people, I don't know, but I'm guessing you don't often have a crowd like this. And I think that speaks volumes just with the volume of, you usually do get an audience like this, do you? And they cheer and laugh. I'll have to come to more meetings, I think, because it's very interesting. But I did just want to say that I have been very troubled by this, and I am, of course, very much in favor of Northern Transitions continuing as the entity that it is, and to make the changes that have been brought up would be fairly devastating to that entity, but also to a lot of the people that are involved. And the jobs that would be lost are not going to simply be, those folks are not simply going to go somewhere else. It doesn't work that way. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? We are getting more applause today than we normally do.
No one-finger salutes.
Hello, I'm Diane Meyer. I want to mention I'm a member of the EUP Solid Waste Committee. I'm speaking from my own personal opinion and my experience here. I think it would be a mistake for you not to pass the millage, that the recycling center and NTI are an integral part of our community. I think all of us are aware that jobs in the U.S. get outsourced to other countries. I don't want to see jobs in our county and our city be outsourced to another state. I don't think we need to do that. I also feel that the sanitation companies will not be at risk of losing their businesses if they don't get this contract to do this. I've been very aware of people who run NTI, their staff who coach people, train them. It's not a simple matter to just go out and find other jobs for these people. They spend months or years working with people to get them to a place where they can function and do a job and earn a living and be a contributing citizen in our community. I think it ought to be looked at also, if you're just looking at finances, you need to look at their financial contribution, plus if they don't have jobs, the drain on the community if they're not paying their own way. Then the community has to support people. And it's a much healthier community if we support our own people. That's what I like to see, a caring, sharing community. I also wanted to mention that the recycling center in NTI, they run the household hazardous waste collection. That's another thing that they do that might not have been mentioned before. So I'd like to see the sanitation businesses stay in business, but I don't think they don't need to have the whole pie. Let's share it with the rest of the community. And that's what I'd like to say. So
Thank you.
listen to your hearts.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Asquith, and I've worked at NTI, and I've also worked with the individuals. And it's a superb operation. The attitude there is just exactly how you would want your own son or daughter to be treated. The versatility and the difficulty with each person has to be tailor-made for whatever program they have for them. They just do a wonderful job. Ed is a tremendous administrator. So, my reputation, I kind of come from the outside, so I might as well do it. What I have my eye on is we need employment so bad here. And I have my eye on Mr. Smith's building. And I'm thinking, when are we going to really use our college, use our mechanical skills, use our business skills, and get together and make something? And one of the products that we have are the recyclables. And why can't we have a business that uses one of them at least? You know, just making backroot garden frames. You know, take in wood as well, make frames. They cost $400 in the catalogs to get a good one. But I mean, the idea of we need to make something of our own waste. So Mr. Smith sends it to Wisconsin. What do they do with it? And what can we do with it? I mean, I think we should be giving subsidies or grants to Lake Superior or high school students that come up with a business that's sustainable for our area. And I would love the recyclables to be one of those products because they're very hard to sell. So I'm just encouraging you to look at other ways of making both of these individuals win.
Thank you, ma'am. Who else would like to speak?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kel Lofdahl, and again, I'm here, and I am here to comment on the recycling millage in the paper from Friday. I will read just a short excerpt from this, and then I'll make my comment. It says here, Smith argued that township officials essentially have to pay twice for the same service. Not only are the residents paying a millage for recycling, but the township then has to employ a truck, a serviceable trailer, and a driver to cart the unwanted material to the salt for recycling. I have an original, an unchanged agreement with the recycling center and the townships for the use of this trailer. It says here, Chippewa County Recycling Center will furnish to the township at no cost a 16-foot tandem axle utility trailer to be used as a drop site and storage of recyclable materials. The township's only responsibilities are The township's responsibility will be to hire a person with a pickup truck to pull the trailer in to and from the recycling center into St. Marie, which we pay right at 75 cents per mile both ways, to and from the recycling center. And then we just ask that the people let us know when they're going to appear with their trailers so we can arrange our work around this. We do not require anybody to actually pull this trailer. We, on request, will do it ourselves. That's as hard as it gets. Since this is open, and we are one of the few townships, one of the few counties in Michigan, at one time we had 100% of our county covered for recycling. Every township has a trailer or a semi-trailer, so 100% available for recycling in all the townships, and that's a plus for us. I myself pulled the trailer from Red Yard last week on Friday, and I got there and stuff is falling out of the trailer, and it's only been out there 6 days. I can't see where it's not a value to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal. You've been getting a lot of experience at public speaking lately, Cal. You're doing great. Oh, here comes another public speaker.
This will be the shortest speech by a elected representative ever. My name is Don Gary, and I'm on the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission. You've already heard from 2 of our elected members, and I'm a third one here. We'll keep it under the quorum, but I'm here also to show support for Northern Transitions operating the Chippewa County Recycling Committee. I was a former Northern Transitions board member, and I did resign my seat in order to take my City Commission elected seat. I now am on the Chippewa County Recycling Committee as a representative of the Sioux City Commission, as was Commissioner Twardy. I can tell you from experience that there are no hidden costs, hidden agendas, and that this is a very well-run operation. Everything is very transparent. The city, as well as the county, gets copies of the budget, gets copies of the operations. The meetings are open, and in addition to the oversight that we provide and you provide, Northern Transitions has a lot of other oversight agencies because of some of their other funding sources and because of all of their employment opportunities. Northern Transitions, from my perspective, is one of the best run operations in this community and in this county. I serve on the board of several nonprofits, and I'm very proud of the operation. As a city commissioner, I individually can only speak on my behalf, but you saw 2 others here supporting it. And when the city went out for garbage collection bids, we specifically and intentionally required in the RFP and in the final contract that all recycling operations in the city of Sault Ste. Marie be brought to the Chippewa County Recycling Committee operation, which is Northern Transitions. The city has been a great partner with the Chippewa County operations. I know that the county's been a great partner, and we fully support it to the extent that we sold them a building in the incubator site to perform their operations, and those funds subsequently went to the beautiful new breeder building. So it's been a great partnership, and I fully concur and voted affirmatively to support the language as presented to the county board for the millage proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Does anyone else want to speak under public comment? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Clerk Melfort, my name is Terrence James. I'm a citizen of Sault Ste. Marie, a resident of Chippewa County, property owner. I work in the private sector. I vote to support the millage on the condition that it follows a path that I'll lay out for you here in a minute. I serve on the board of directors of the Superior Alliance for Independent Living in Marquette. It's a center for independent living that serves all 15 counties in the Upper Peninsula, including Chippewa. We are community partners with NTI, with HBH, with Machine Rehab services. And the core independent living philosophy that we follow is that every citizen has the right to participate in society and in life to the fullest extent possible. And with that comes a responsibility to the rest of us to afford that opportunity where we can. I would thank Mr. Smith for making an offer to provide a service for a lower price than what we're getting right now. But there are some goods and services that I have to take a deeper look than the short view of the sticker price. I have to look at the value. I have to look at what's delivered for the price. Cheaper is not always better. We give 24 people with significant barriers to employment a chance to earn their keep, a chance to support themselves, a chance to spend their money, which they've earned rather than was given as a disability check, right here in the community. We give them a chance to be full and equal participants to the best of their ability because we have the opportunity to do so. To the question that was offered last month about where the money goes, I went to guidestar.org today and downloaded the 2012 fiscal year IRS Form 990 for NTI. It's publicly available. If I wanted to go to the office, I'm sure Mr. Detour would make a copy of the 2013 990 and also of either an audited financial statement or the financial report. I'm not sure what they're required to produce. But there are no mysteries. There are no hidden agendas going on here, as I've heard said. I think this is a service that provides value to the community that goes beyond simply the price that it costs. It's also not a tax imposed by a bureaucratic panel sitting in front of us. You'll place it on the ballot if you choose to, and we can turn it down. And if we do vote to accept it, and folks don't care to use the service from NTI or from Smith, they cannot use it. So there's no obligation being imposed by government on any of the citizens sitting in this room one way or another. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak under public comment? We still have public comment open.
Bud Willis, Sugar Island. Was here last month, and quite a difference in our situation with our ferry systems. As probably most of you know, the lake's pretty well open now, and I don't foresee any problems with the ferries being jammed up, at least not for Sugar Island. I don't know about Drummond and Nevish. And the Coast Guard done a good job of keeping the ice broke up. But we haven't had the traffic neither. They still are not navigating through Lake Superior very good. But the other thing I wanted to talk or was concerned about is that special election for the school that's coming up on May 6th. Seems that they have these special elections on off times that they want to have so they can get their agendas passed or their millage passed for this. And I don't think they should be having these elections on these special elections. They should be held either in an August primary or the November primary. Because they know they get a low voters turnout on these special elections and they get their stuff passed. They base that impact on the taxpayers to be if you had a $50,000 taxable value, you'd be paying $35 a year. Well, it seems that they always base things on the low end, like the government does. You know, if you had a $100,000 taxable value, it's going to go to $70, and $150 it's going to $105, and probably in 12 years you're going to be paying anywhere to $100 to $200 more in taxes a year. Plus, they already hit us last year with a tax with their special election that they had, where they held last year. So you add that into that, and it's going up. The other thing is, I was informed that they do buy a lot of their material in that down below the bridge. And I thought they should be supporting local businesses here that could furnish the supplies to them also. And I know when Earl K was on the board, there was a big push with the county commissioner to buy local and support support our local businesses, just like some of these other individuals here said before. You gotta support the local and support the jobs for them. So I think they ought to take another look if they want people to support them, that they ought to start turn around and supporting the local business and buying from them instead of down below the bridge. And that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to speak under public comment?
Well, I don't think I'll get applause, but my name is Kathy Gaylor, and I'm supervisor at Rudyard Township. And I've been on the township government going back to 1978, so long time. Watch programs come and go, and my interest in the millage has been a long time, trying to get information. And I don't want to completely go through all the figures that were said at the Finance Committee on Thursday, but there are a few. What I'm concerned about as a supervisor is millage is always targeted at the taxpayer. Taxpayers were happy back in the 90s when tax bills got cut in half, and since that time every entity seems to come back to the taxpayer with a millage for roads, with millage for ambulance, with millage for fire, millage for community centers, anything else. So it's just my concern that when there is a millage, it's responsibly spent, and I don't believe the recycling is. If this issue is about recycling, then the recycling program should be successful. Looking at the 990 of Northern Transitions, it said that for last year, their revenue was $152,000. Their expenses were $752,000. That's a loss of $599,000. And that's after doing it for 24 years. I just don't think that's responsible. So on top of the $152,000 in sales, you've got $540,000 of millage coming in, and you have the other money coming from HBH subsidizing the salaries of the workshop. I just believe if this were competitively bid, that you would see some great growth in the recycling program. I think without it being competitively bid, you've got somebody who will continue to run it the way it has, continue to lose money, and they'll never be spurred by any competition to look for new and innovative ideas. And changing it would help the people of Chippewa County. I understand from looking at other recycling programs that there are many, many items that other counties take that we just refuse. They are not ever considered as taken for recyclables, and that's not good. I know the comment was made, we're not Emmett County. But Mr. Kinsella brought up some very good figures that Emmett County is involved in recycling also. They have not had any tax dollars supporting it, and they made, was it correct, $1.9 million. Our sales were $152,000. We're leaving a lot of money on the table by the same people running it irresponsibly, I believe. I just spoke to the gentleman that runs the recycling in Mackinac Island. Now that's a small, small island, low population for 6 months of the year. And they recycle 75% the number of tonnage that all of Chippewa County recycles. That's not something that we should be saying we run a great program and a successful program, because we don't. And I don't know how you look at your program and not compare it to at least some other surrounding communities. You have to do that. And Mackinac County does not have tax dollars in it, or Mackinac Island, and they run it in the red, or in the black. They don't want to call it for profit, but they cover all their expenses. And like the gentleman told me, that first half mile to the shore cost them an arm and a leg. Very, very expensive. I know that this has been overwhelmingly supported by the taxpayers, but I believe that the taxpayers could look at some of the facts that they would not support this program. I feel like everything here is pitting the people who are questioning the practices in the program against the people who need jobs, and that's not what it's supposed to be. It's questioning, can we do a better job? Could somebody else in a competitive bid situation produce a better program, both for the people who want to recycle and the people paying for it? I just believe that we need to look at the dollars and cents. If it's about recycling, it's about recycling, and recycling should be the end result and the best product. If it's about jobs for the handicapped, the disadvantaged, that issue should be talked about in the millage. It's not. It's a recycling millage. So I believe the whole program needs to be looked at. I'm not backing any one group, but I do think that in this case, government has run it for 24 years, and we're just losing more and more money every year. We're writing checks out of the taxpayer's checkbook, so we never care whether it balances or not. I do believe we need to look at it and look at another avenue and way to run it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Would anybody else like to get up and speak?
Hello, my name is Joel Krupa. I just wanted to reiterate the initial start of this conversation. Started about 6 weeks ago. We were in a county recycling committee meeting, and Jim Smith, along with his business associate from Wisconsin who runs a recycling center there, stated that they had done their homework and that they had a plan for the county recycling operation. Mr. Smith said that he would collect the materials in the county and send them to Wisconsin for processing. This same business associate was there at the previous finance committee last Thursday afternoon, I should say, at 4 o'clock. Back 6 weeks ago, when the discussion got around to the issue of jobs in the community and how the money stays locally, Commissioner McLean asked Jim Smith, how many additional jobs do you anticipate you adding to your firm if you were to take over recycling? He said one. One. The reason why he can say one is because he would then his plan was to take the material and ship it to Wisconsin. That's where the jobs would go. Now, yes, we pay a few more dollars in this county to have locally produced work done. But to the average taxpayer, your average home is, say it's 100,000 or below. Let's say it's 100,000. Many people live in lesser homes than that. They're paying $25 a year. Mr. Smith is proposing, well, maybe he can cut it. Maybe he wants to eliminate it. One day he says he wants to eliminate it, and then he says, well, we'll do a reduction. I mean, it's rather inconsistent. So he's saying that maybe could average could be a taxpayer savings of $8 to $10 a month. But then what is the result of that? We get no services in this county. We affect so many agencies throughout the county through the integration of the Eastern UP Transportation Authority and all the other programs that have been mentioned in the county. It comes down to, basically it's all over the map. with the proposals that were put out by Mr. Smith in the last 6 weeks. He goes from one job being created to, well, maybe he can keep several more, but it's not consistent. The question is, do we want reliability, consistency, and dependability as exemplified by the service provided by Northern Transitions, or the inconsistency as demonstrated by the changing proposal day to day? That's all I have.
Thank you, John. All right, we're still under public comment. If anybody else would like to speak, it's your opportunity. I don't know if you're coming up to the mic or okay. Anyone else? Anyone like to speak?
Terry Klaus, and I'm a taxpayer in the county. And one of the things is the millage. If you're going to write it up, will you write it up that it's going to a private entity, or will you write it up that it's going to the nonprofit that it does now? And also, because NTI has the 24 hours that you can drop off recycling, is that going to change when you go to a private company? Those are a lot of things that need to be thought of. And if the cost goes down, is the millage going to go down, or is the county going to keep what's left of the millage? Those are just some questions I have.
That's a great idea. No, just kidding. Sorry.
Careful.
Thank you. As you may get the impression, we're anxious to talk about this too, but this is your time to speak. So, anyone else would care to come up and speak during public comment? Oh, we've got at least two more.
My name is Richard Delamonte. I own the University of Recycling here in Sault Ste. Marie. And first I want to start it out. I've heard about the activities that have been happening here in the Sioux. First and foremost, I wanted to throw my support that I support the millage for NTI and to keep the current recycling program as is. I've been recycling also. I have a drop zone at my site, and I haven't had any public funds or anything like that. I've been actually experimenting with the drop-off site. I also have another program that I've created, which is I teach students how to recycle. I give them boxes and bags, and then those students would put the certain materials in those bags, and then I'd track them, give them credits and a little money over time. It's kind of my program. But there's one thing I can't do, which I've discovered through trial and error, is to simulate what the Chippewa County Recycling Center is actually doing today, which is taking these mixed materials and streamlining those into like a single stream process, and then ultimately trying to turn a profit on that type of business model. The main opportunity with Chippewa County is you have cost avoidance from throwing it into the landfill, which is really a main benefit, which I don't know if it gets captured. Yes, they might be charging $700,000 and they get $150,000 in revenue, but how much cost avoidance is there from going into the landfill? Now, I know Jimmy and Smith Sanitation. Sounds like he's getting beat up pretty good here, but I think Jimmy and his company has done an amazing job in what they do. That is waste management. They gave the county another option outside of waste management and made waste management more competitive. I'm not sure if anybody has seen that, but I personally, I've used Jimmy, I've used waste management, and just recently I've noticed a shift from waste management that they're actually more affordable in just a very small box scenario. So as far as Mr. Smith and his company, I think they're doing a great job for Chippewa County, especially in keeping a monopoly from happening in our area. He's definitely made waste management more competitive, and the next time the city contract comes up, I'm sure they're going to be much more competitive, and it's going to overall benefit the county. One of the things that I would like to just throw my own company into this mix is I have to turn away recycling opportunities all the time that I could bring to Sault Ste. Marie because labor rates, I might not be able to do the business model to cover transportation. So maybe in the future, I don't know Mr. Detour, but if you read today's Detroit News, Michigan ranks 7th out of the 8 states in the Great Lakes in recycling. And the governor's on a mission to double recycling efforts throughout the state. He's doing a campaign. He's going to create much more grant money for recyclers. Right now, the recycling rate is 15% of all waste that we all generate. Even with myself as a private entity, Northern Transitions, even Jimmy Smith probably has his own recycling happening down there. We still have about 85% more material to recycle to make it zero landfill and see what we can do as a community to engage those grants that are out there and ultimately create more Northern Transition type jobs here in the area and obtain more grant money without adding more millage dollars to the county. So I'm just here to lend support that Northern Transitions, I think that millage should definitely be stayed in place because I don't think the time's right for any type of change in that entity. And ultimately, as one person noticed, I only take 2 plastics, but we get a lot of different, we do get a lot of different plastics. And I'm willing to work with both entities and trying to, close the gap to make it 100% recycling county and lead the nation and trying to gather those types of metrics. Okay. That's it.
Thanks, Richie. All right. Anyone else like to speak under public comment?
My name's Penny Clark. I used to work with NTI in 1979 for about 7 years. I remember starting there when there were 17 clients. I'm now older and hopefully wiser, but I go into the community and I always see other clients that I had worked with or over the years, they are working into our community. It might take them a long time, sometimes to get the concepts, what needs to go on, but a lot of them do. You just can't go in and work with people and yell at them and scream at them sometimes and get the response you want that some companies would do. I'm not saying all companies do that, but it takes a special skill to train people, and I do believe NTI has that skill. I do have a stepson, and he went through the recycling program and now is in other employment. And he has his little niches that go up and down, but he's doing wonderful. And I want to thank NTI for helping him and all the other people in the community, and I wish to continue the county to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're still under public comment period. If anybody else would like to speak, it's your opportunity. We have two more calls here. Anybody want to speak under public comment? Last chance. Then I'll close public comment. All right, I declare the public comment period to be short. Or short. I have no idea where that came from. I'm sorry. Closed, rather. And I would thank you all both for your attendance and for your comments. I would like to let you know that we actually have meetings like this every month that you can come to. And you're welcome to come. They're always very interesting. The issue that most of the people are here that are interested in is obvious. And that issue is going to come up in the finance claims and accounts meeting minutes that Commissioner Cooper will be reading to us. And at that time, we'll enter a discussion on it. We've got just a couple things to get to before we get to that. It won't be long. And so I just let you know about that. Again, we're all interested and anxious, I think, to discuss the issue. And I'm sure you're interested in knowing and seeing that as well. So I'm going to resume the agenda, and the next thing on our agenda would be the administrator's report. That is a report from our administrator, Jim German. I'm sorry, did I miss something? Old business. Oh, old business. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped right over old business, which I declare to be short. But Old business, we did add a item under old business, which would be meeting times. We've discussed potentially changing some meeting times for the summer, and it was added by Commissioner Kinsella. So do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
I think we need to change the meetings to mid-afternoon for the summer months. It helps a lot of us. It increases daylight hours on both ends. And I know that certain of us are willing to at least change those to then. It puts nobody traveling in the dark. So I'd like to make a motion, we change the time of our meetings for the summer months to 2 p.m.
Could we call that May through September?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
I would say.
Want to make sure that we have it appropriately
May
defined.
till,
May through September?
oh, September. I thought you
Change the
said-
regular board. So we all want to know, when you come to meetings in the summer, they'll be at 2 o'clock. Maybe, if this passes. I'm sorry, we do have a motion. I should have waited to see if there was a support.
I'll support it.
All right, so we do have a motion made, and it's been supported that the meeting times would go to 2 p.m., May through September. That is similar to the time that we had all of last year for our regular board meetings. Is there a discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay.
Nay.
1 nay, and the motion carries. Then we move on to the administrator's report. I gave you ample notice, Mr. German.
Mr. Chair, you'll see the various monthly reports there, the Veterans Affairs Report, the Animal Control Report, a synopsis of War Memorial Hospitals, the Sheriff's Department, and Public Defender. Also, in your packet is a disaster declaration, which was for water and sewage infrastructure breakdowns caused by the cold weather, and an extension of that signed by Chairman Shackleton. There's also resolutions involved from UPAC and UPCAP. The state of emergency one, I think we're actually one step ahead of UPAC and UPCAP. The other three we'll probably be discussing in the near future in committees that have come out of various counties. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Administrator German. Then we will move to standing committee reports, and if there's no objection, I'm going to ask Finance, Claims, and Accounts to go first. That's Commissioner Cooper.
And I'm gonna do the April 10th one first, because that's the one of most interest, although we had two finance claims.
Okay.
Regular meeting of the Chippewa County Board of Commissioners Finance Claims and Accounts Committee was held Thursday, April 10th at Chippewa County Courthouse. Called the meeting to order at 4 p.m. with a quorum present. I was there, Scott Shackleton, George Kinsella, Don McLean, Ted Pastula. Others present, Jim Smith, Fred Smith, Ed Detour, Joel Krupa, Bobby Savoy, Kathy Melport, John Sarook, Kathy Gaylor, Rich Phillips, Jim Lucas, Brian Pepper, Chuck Mosier, Mike Gillette, Lofto, Jim German, and Kelly Church. Said there was a few more that she didn't get the names on, but that's okay. Approval of the agenda, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pursuant to approve the agenda as amended. Public comment, the following constituents addressed the Finance Committee regarding the recycling program proposition, millage renewal. John Sarook, Kathy Gaylor, Red Deer Township Supervisor, Rich Phillips, Superior Township Supervisor, Chuck Mosier, EUP Transportation Authority, Jim Smith, Sanitation / Blue Water Recycling, Jim Wittengill, Ed Detour, NTI, Mike Gillette, Joel Krupa, NTI, and Cal Lufto. Committee received the monthly treasurer's report, the monthly travel report, and the March visa billing statement for review. Discussion on the use of the administration credit card followed. Agenda items, Chippewa County Recycling Program millage renewal language approval. It was moved by Commissioner Shackleton, supported by Commissioner Pastula to approve the language as follows. And Scott, this doesn't say in minutes here, but I believe your motion was, and to place it on the August primary ballot?
Yes.
And I'd like that to be included.
That was a part of the motion.
That motion was made by Scott and supported by Ted. The language is here. Should I read it, Scott, or what? The crux of it.
Yeah, go ahead, just summarize it.
The body of it is, shall the expired previous voted increase in the tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution on general ad valorem taxes with Chippewa County, Michigan of 0.5 mils, that's 50 cents per thousand taxable value, be renewed at 0.5 mils, or 50 cents per thousand on taxable value, and be levied for 4 years, being 2014, 15, 16, and 17, inclusive for the purpose of providing funds for the development and operation of the Chippewa County Recycling Program, and shall the county levy such millage for said purpose. The estimated revenue the county will collect if this millage is approved and levied in 2014 is $546,000. And then it's yes or no. The committee had a lengthy discussion regarding the Chippewa County Recycling Program and proposed millage renewal. Discussion included the original language, which included the Sioux Shelter Workshop as part of the wording in the ballot language, which was already approved by NTI Advisory Board. Reduction in costs and comparisons from other county recycling programs. It's moved by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean, to table any action on the Chippewa County Recycling Program millage renewal until May 7th. On a voice vote, the motion failed. There was some additional discussion. Each commissioner addressed the committee regarding recycling. On a voice vote, the motion carried. It was a 3-2 vote, and I would so move.
I'll support that.
So there is a motion made by Commissioner Cooper and supported by Commissioner McLean, and we can now discuss the issue. Let me just kind of explain the issue a little bit before we go into it. This millage request is the language that was sent to us by the recycling committee. The concern from I believe Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith's supporters, I want to be fair the way I state that, I hope you will object to that, is that if the language was slightly changed, it would be more open for bid. It would make it more open for the county to go out and bid it. The perception was that this language was somewhat closed to continue the program as is. This is the language that was approved at the Finance Committee and is before us now. So the only other thing I would say is I just want people to understand too that this issue was not initiated by the county. The county never has said that, gee, let's take a look at the recycling and see if we can do it differently. Mr. Smith came to us and suggested that he'd like an opportunity to perhaps bid on it. And there's a lot of issues that we've discussed and learned since then. And I'm looking forward to discussing this as well, but I will give the other commissioners an opportunity to go first. Who'd like to speak? Commissioner McLean?
It indicates in the minutes, and their true minutes, that I voted against bringing this to this point. It was a 3-2 vote, it passed, and we're now here. And I guess I want to just mention that the reason that I voted that way was because I thought there were some unanswered questions that were out there. At the meeting that we had, for the finance meeting, there was a group that was in favor of maintaining, or wanted to change the program to allow this bidding process. And there was a group that was in support, a smaller group that was in support of continuing the program as it is now. But they both presented a variety of arguments, and there were a variety of issues that I thought we needed to address beforehand. I introduced a tabling motion, that failed, so when it came up for a vote, I voted against that. Because, and then I spent over the weekend, we're moving forward, so I said over the weekend, actually right after we left the meeting, I said I've got to research this issue. And I spent an extensive amount of time doing that this weekend. 5 hours in the library on Friday, going through the archives for the evening news, and my head is still a little bit spinning about having to do that, the microfilm. It was quite a process, but I also attended a meeting on Saturday night, and I had an opportunity to speak before a group real briefly, and I asked the group to contact me during the remainder of the meeting on this issue, if they had a concern, and I did talk to a number of people there. I then, on Sunday, spent hours calling each township. Okay, I tried to get hold of the supervisor. If I couldn't get hold of the supervisor, I talked to other people who are township officials and asked them. I represent 4 townships: Sioux Township, Bruce Township, Dafter Township, and Sugar Island Township. And I made the effort to call and speak with people who are representative of each of those townships. Then I had unsolicited phone calls, and this afternoon I had a call from an old friend of mine, a prominent businessman in the community, very successful. And when I first answered the phone and recognized his voice, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But he came out very strongly in support of Northern Transitions continuing as it is. He says, and I told him that I was a little bit surprised. He's been a successful businessman, very competitive, but as he pointed out, he says, we're arriving at the age, we're the same age, that we need to look at what's good for the community, not just what's good for the bottom line. And I feel at this point really comfortable in supporting this millage to continue it as it is. It's a terrific program. That was in my mind originally, but again, I had to answer these questions that came up at this finance meeting. And we shared some information over the weekend, and that's, I guess at this point, I'm speaking very strongly in favor of continuing the program as it has been.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner McLean. Who else would like to speak? Commissioner Kinsella.
I'll be brief. I don't think we should mix NTI with the recycling from the standpoint of we're for NTI or against NTI. I've raised some pretty tough issues about the recycling program as a success as compared to other counties, and I've studied other counties. I could never question NTI's ability to operate. You know, when Shirley Farnquist spoke about a family member and a commissioner, that was me. And you know, it took us 28 years to teach my sister to tell time. And what she learned at NTI enabled her to be self-sufficient for several years. So I am not in any way against NTI's operation. I think that any time a businessman comes forward with a proposal and says he can do it better and make money at it, we need to listen. We're crazy not to. And so I really, you know, I haven't said anything against the millage. I did say some stuff about the language. And I believe that this board has the right, ultimately, to allocate any of the millage, all of the millage, or none of the millage. And we do have the right, and it may not even be all of us. I mean, we could all lose our seats this year, and it could be somebody else in 2 years having the same debate. So I think there's places we can go with recycling. We're recycling at about 20% in the county. Emmett County is doing about 80%. Marquette County is about 45%. Those two are two of the counties in Michigan that were touted as doing a good job. And so I think we've got a ways to go. Ultimately, the way Marquette does it, if you show up at the landfill with items that are recyclable, they don't take them. They're recyclable items. And they use a solid waste management authority, and it's a very small authority, and it resides right at the landfill. The county doesn't allocate a millage. Individual townships do millages as depending on their needs of their citizens. I agree with kind of that because townships, there's 1,100 of them in Michigan, they're the closest to the people. And so when my township supervisors, and I have 7.5 townships, when they come to me and say, we think we can do it better, you know, I'm going to listen to them because they represent a lot of people. So anyway, I hope that explains where I stand on the issue. And you know, I I'm in support of the millage from the standpoint of it going forward. I argued about the language, we had reasonable dialogue, and I didn't win that vote, so I guess I gotta go home and kick the cat. I don't know.
All right, next, Commissioner Cooper.
I have a problem with the language as well. I don't think it's strong enough. I think it should be like the original language that incorporated within the body of that it went to Sioux Sheltered Workshop. At that time, it was called Sioux Sheltered Workshop, and I'd like to see it in this one. Although I don't think I know it can't be in there. I've heard that they had some legal opinions. I don't know how it could have worked, 10 years ago and not work now. But so yeah, my problem with the language is it should be stronger, and we should guarantee that, because I think it was Kerry said that you should write it up so people know what they're voting for. And I think it's got to be clear when they vote for this millage that it's going to Northern Transition, it's going to the recycling center in the Sioux, and it's not going to Wisconsin. And so somehow or another we got to lock that in, and we got to make sure that's correct. As far as gathering facts and information, clearly the more information and facts you get, the better off you are. But as long as it's factual, and when you get a document that says 80% of the millage goes to payroll for administration, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. And so everything else you hear presented becomes suspect. If you ask me, when you compare it to another county, Emmett County, they keep touting Emmett County, Emmett County, Emmett County. Scott did some research and found out that they charge a surcharge on their each. What is it? $2.20 for a bag of trash?
Well,
or you can bring that up.
Yeah, I'll talk about it.
But so I went on the website and pulled up the audit report for Emmett County, and their recycling disposal recycling system lost $62,000 last year. And on the most recent audit report I could find on the state website, Emmett County, the one that they've been comparing it to, it lost money. So I don't know why all of a sudden they were making $1 million last year and now they lost $62,000. So you know what I mean? Facts. We can all listen to a set of facts and formulate our own opinion, but you can't create your own facts. And unfortunately, I think we've been getting some facts created here that were just not true. And so, as I said, I'm all again. I never in doubt. I believe it should stay here, and I think once we even, I guess the further we dug into this, the better we see that NTI actually is. And I believe you guys should shine a bright light on what you're doing and let the whole world see it. And you know what? Maybe Emmett County can come up here and see what we're doing, or Marquette County. Now we're comparing it to Marquette County. That's a new one, but anyway, like I said, I'm all. There's just no doubt in my mind. There never was that this should never be changed. And again, I think it should be strengthened, and we should add Northern Transition in there somehow or other. So that's all I'm saying, Scott.
Anyone else want to speak?
I guess I'm the only one that hasn't yet. I don't have much to say. From when it started, I was at the first committee meeting, and I try to keep an open mind, but I went to my supervisors. I represent 5 townships, and all of them were in favor of what we have, keep NTI. But they said too, there's always room for improvement. Let's see what we can do. They try to keep an open mind too. And, I learned a lot by doing this, listening to it. I like what Ms. Asquith had to say. Maybe we can make a product out of our waste and be something leading the country, starting in Chippewa County. And I know Jim, and he runs a good operation, and I just feel bad. He doubted me on what I heard. But from what I heard the first meeting, he wasn't going to use NTI, and he was only going to create one job. So that's where I heard that, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Commissioner McLean.
I'll just, this issue isn't going to go away, like somebody mentioned. George mentioned, it'll come before the board again sometime in the future. And because Mr. Smith is a businessman and he's going to keep working at this to do what's right for his business and for the community. I think there are a number of things that were mentioned here, and I think it's common sense that this whole recycling operation done by Northern Transitions, it needs to look at efficiency and expanding the scope, because we hear of other places doing other things. And it's important for our community and our world to recycle and do things better that way. But at this point in time, I think it's the right choice to move ahead with continue what we're doing. But again, to think that we're done with the issue of recycling, no. I've already talked to Mr. Detour just briefly, and I said, I'd like to meet with him and talk about some of the things that I heard from township officials and from the community issues that were brought up. And he's more than welcome to visit with me. So I just appreciate that. And again, it's not an issue that's going to away this vote today. It'll be back at least in 4 more years, if not sooner. And I think George has brought the issue to us, and we can't pick on George too much. He brought it up.
Right, we can't pick on too much.
Well, but the thing that one of the good things that came from it is that we took a real serious look at this point. And there was a lot of dialogue and a lot of research and a lot of information has come forward.
Right.
And again, one of the conclusions I came with is, again, we're not done with this issue. We'll see it again in the future, or a board, somebody sitting here, George, will deal with it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'd like to say a few things. This has been a tough issue. This has been around now for, about 6 weeks or so, but it's been a rather intense 6 weeks, because when Administrator German first called me and said, Jim Smith wants to talk about recycling and says he can do it better, cheaper, what do? I said, schedule a committee meeting for him and hear him out. He has a right to bring forward his case, make his case, and let's hear what he's got to say. So that's how it all started. And again, I just have to say, I don't fault Smith Sanitation a bit. Smiths are business people. They're looking for an opportunity to expand their business. Good for you. I'm a small businessman myself, and believe me, I sympathize with every opportunity to try to build your business, and a family business at that. But, some of what you've been hearing today may almost seem a little disjointed to you, because not everybody was here for the whole conversation. For instance, the last meeting. At the last meeting, we heard a lot of information that that were scratching our heads. And we came back over the weekend and found some information that said, hey, maybe this isn't quite right. And some of that I just want to go over here, because believe it or not, even the way this issue has been, I'm kind of glad it happened, because it has given me an opportunity to not only look closer at NTI, but to look closer at recycling and what really does happen in Michigan. So I did some searching and some looking on the internet, and I looked at the State of Michigan website. The State of Michigan Department of Environmental Quality recognizes that 25 out of 83 counties have easily accessible recycling. Chippewa is one of them, and Chippewa was probably one of the first, because we started our program 24 years ago. So keep that in mind, though. We're talking 25 out of 83 counties right now have programs that DEQ thinks you would characterize as easily accessible recycling. Over 2/3 of the counties do not. So I really don't think that the state, anytime in the near future, is going to be going to counties and saying, you need to go out and bid out your recycling services, when most of them don't even have a good program in place yet. I also was hearing this rate about how 20% for Chippewa County was just this terrible low rate. Jumped right out at me at the DEQ site. The recycling rate in the state of Michigan is 20%. We're at average. Would we like to be better? Yes. But is it terrible? No. We're average right now for the state for recycling. So I looked a little more, and I looked at a couple of other counties to see what they do. I looked at Emmett County, because I kept hearing how wonderful Emmett County was, and the fact that they make money and they don't charge any millage or any such thing. And it's true, they don't charge a millage, and it's true that they have a good program. But what they do is they own their own transfer station. So all the trash in Emmett County comes to the transfer station, and then from there goes out to the landfill. They build into the cost at the transfer station the money to subsidize their recycling program. And that's probably why when you even take a bag of garbage to the transfer station, not have it picked up, just take it. It costs $2.25, the starting price to dispose of that bag of garbage. In Sault Ste. Marie, we get it picked up at the curb for $1.60. So that gives you some idea how much they're adding on to the cost of garbage disposal in Emmett in order to pay for recycling. And then I heard things about how they have all these things they pick up and we don't pick up. For instance, they'll accept mattresses and we don't. Yeah, they accept mattresses, but they charge $12 a piece. So I suppose we could probably work something out where we can do something like that. But the same thing with some of the other things we don't pick up. They charge for. And when they do hazardous waste collections, they do those by appointment on certain dates during the year, just as we do. Again, I looked at Charlevoix County, I looked at Mackinac County, I looked at Otsego County. These guys, everybody subsidizes their recycling operations. Charlevoix County is about half the size of Chippewa, and they are levying a millage which generates over $300,000 a year. I can go on with those facts, but what it added up to for me is that the program we have here is a pretty good program. In fact, one of the better programs, and is not out of line on what we're paying to support it. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is a little bit about Northern Transitions. First of all, there are two boards that are overseeing this process. We have a recycling committee, and Northern Transitions has an oversight committee. Both those committees are made up of local people. I happen to serve on the recycling committee, and you've heard from others that serve on Northern Transitions and the recycling committee. I can tell you that everything I see, they're very transparent in the work that they do. And I went to their website, and they have on their website, if you go to Northern Transitions website, they have what's called a outcome measurement report. I have a feeling this is some sort of a government requirement that you have to produce this report. But it has some great information in it, and if you'll just bear with me for another moment, the first paragraph says, over the past year, NTI has served 110 individuals in organizational and community employment, which happened to be one more than last year's total. These people have barriers to entry or to employment ranging from intellectual impairment and mental illness. And then when you jump to the back page, they have a chart which actually shows where these people are working. They have three principal operations: organizational employment production, which I'm guessing is sort of the mail house operation, that type of thing, janitorial, and recycling. So let's just focus on recycling for a moment. In recycling, you have 35 people who are employed in one way or another in that area. So that's about a third of the people are involved in recycling. Of those, you have 11 with the intellectual barriers, you have 2 who are autistic, you have 12 that have mental illness, you have 5 that have learning disabilities, you have 1 that has a traumatic brain injury, and 1 that has other physical, and 1 that has a seizure disorder, and 2 that are characterized as MPRI. That's 35 that are working in an opportunity to do things that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. I'm going to wrap it up here just by telling you too that one of my concerns is that if we switched from NTI, that facility on Easter Day Avenue for drop-off would surely close because NTI owns that facility. Secondly, that work from those people would be taken. 1/3 of their people are active in the recycling activity. A few years down the road, the private contractor found that, hey, guess what? I'm not making money at this. I don't know, but it seems pretty likely he might say, I'm not doing it anymore. And then what do? We have to completely recreate a recycling program in Chippewa County. So I'll tell you that I would like to be finished with this issue because I am 100% supportive of it staying with NTI. I think that we can perhaps make some improvements. I think if township people have concerns about their trailers, those darn trailers cost like $50,000 a piece, by the way. But if they have concerns about those trailers, then they should talk to Mr. Detour or someone else at the recycling area to help them with whatever problems they're having, if it's snow removal or hauling it in or whatever. I believe that they're responsive and will work with you on it. For me, I want to put this ballot issue on the ballot as it is, have people understand that we're going to continue with NTI and be done with it. So that's my 2 cents. Anyone else? We have a motion in front of us to approve the ballot language as it is. It has been supported and thoroughly discussed, perhaps ad nauseum. And I would call now for a vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote nay. The motion carries. We can go back to Commissioner Cooper, or would you like to take a little 5-minute recess?
I think, Scott, I think we'll just keep chugging along here, but you said you'd like to continue with NTI, you'd like to put this behind us, and I think there's still some uncertainty with the taxpayer out there. We have the millage on the ballot now, but we have the ballot language, but we don't have certainty. And Mr. McLean alluded to that we're gonna hear about this again and again. And I think in order for us to have clarity with the voter go out there, when they go to the poll, they should have some clarity as to what they're voting for. And having said that, I would like to make a motion that we authorize the administrator to negotiate a 4-year contract to coincide with the terms of the millage with Northern Transition to provide recycling services for Chippewa County. And I would make that as a motion.
I'll support that.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Cooper and supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion on that motion?
Well, we've only been here 2 hours talking about this, so what's a few more minutes?
Absolutely.
I don't know, I guess it wouldn't hurt anything, it'd clarify where we are.
Commissioner McLean?
I guess, like Don says, the language doesn't exactly spell that out. But I guess we can't change the language of the ballot issue. But we can set up, as he's proposed and I've seconded, language that says, okay, this is how it's going to be spent. And I guess that would clarify it once and for all. That during the 4 years of this millage, that money is going to go to Northern Transitions to handle the recycling.
Yep. Commissioner Kinsella?
I would, just to give it another side of this thing, has anybody thought what happens if it doesn't pass? Are we saying no to Northern Transitions and if the voters vote against this thing? And I worry about that. I really think the county should go to the people with pretty much the same as what we've always had, and not marry it to NTI Sioux Sheltered Workshop.
Okay. Anyone else? Ben?
I think Don said that in his motion, if the millage passes, we will use that money and don't tie it to anything else. Maybe if we're gonna sit there and talk about a contract, it'd be a good time to talk about some things we've heard about in our discussion. And from what I see, I don't think it's gonna fail. Pretty strong support out there for what we have.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, this has been, for me, a long process and a very strong learning process, that I truly believe that there's a lot of people who support this, or at least support it enthusiastically, because of the NTI's having the contract to perform the services. So, we have a motion in front of us. Is there further discussion? Commissioner, Administrator German?
First and foremost, I want to see the millage passed. And I think Commissioner Cooper brings up a very good point, that we cannot have any misconception out there among the public about what the county commission is going to do. And for that reason, I really think the commission needs to make a statement, and that may be one way to do it.
It certainly does make a statement and a commitment. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay.
I'll vote nay.
Motion carries with 1 nay. At this point, we have a little bit more of our finance committee minutes to go through. Then we have another committee minutes to go through and a couple resolutions. Anybody who would like to stay, you're certainly welcome to, but I'm going to call for a 5-minute recess so that if you feel like you've been here long enough, we clear that this meeting is back in session. And Commissioner Cooper, if you would proceed with your finance claims and accounts report.
Vital records. The committee reviewed the survey of fees charged by the county clerks and requested, and the request from Chippewa County Clerk Kathy Malport to increase the fees effective May 1st, 2014 for the first copy of vital records to $10 from $8 and expedited marriage license to $20 from the current $5. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve the new vital records fees in the clerk's office to $10 for the first copy and $20 for the expedited marriage license, effective May 1st, 2014. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
I'll support that, but wasn't there something
Motion made
about,
by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Discussion?
well, the second copies? The additional copies, wasn't there some language about that in there somewhere? Or is that,
That'll remain the same, $5 each same
Okay.
time.
okay, I thought that was mentioned in the committee notes.
We charge $5 for expedited marriage, and they want to move it to 20.
No, but somebody comes in and gets a copy of death certificate, and then they want 10 of them. Is each one $10?
No, the first one is 10, the 9 others purchased at the same time are 5. The additional copy purchased at the same time is $5.
So we don't need to mention.
But no change.
Okay.
No change, it'll remain the same.
Okay.
So we have a motion in front of us. Is there discussion? All in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Survey, 2014 Survey and Remonumentation Grant. The committee reviewed the 2014 Survey and Remonumentation Grant in the amount of $163,712, of which the county has budgeted for $15,000. Documentation also included $17,200 for the program administrator, $46,200 for Rogers land surveying to complete 33 corners, $93,800 for Northwoods land surveying to complete 67 corners, and agreements for peer review surveyors to receive $800 per meeting as follows: Jeff Davis, Neil Hill, Eric Lewicki, Larry Rogers, Keith Waters, and Lawrence Weinreis. All the documents need to be approved. Okay, whatever. It was moved by Commissioner Shackleton, supported by Commissioner Casella, to approve and authorize signatures on a 2014 Survey Remonumentation Grant for $163,712. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion of the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella, to approve the program administrator contract in the amount of $17,200 for Northwoods land surveying. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner McLean.
We were at the same time,
Okay.
so.
McLean, is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
It was moved by Commissioner Pastula, supported by Commissioner McLean, to approve 2 monumentation contracts, one for $46,200 for 33 corners to Rogers Land Surveying, and the other for $93,800 for 67 corners to Northwoods Land Surveying. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
I'll support this one.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve the peer review surveyor agreements at $800 per meeting for the following surveyors: Jeff David, Neil Hill, Eric Lewicki, Larry Rogers, Keith Waters, and Lawrence Weinreis. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
The committee reviewed a request from Animal Shelter to purchase an iPad from Fund 285, which are donations, so that the animal control officer can utilize 2 apps customized for license notices and compliance notices in an effort to go paperless. The cost of the iPad is approximately $399, with an additional monthly cost for the programs of $20 per month. It was moved by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve the purchase of an iPad from Fund 285 to utilize the license and compliance notices for the animal control officer. And the program cost of $20 per month. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
I'll support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella. Is there discussion? Commissioner McLean.
I just want to mention briefly, as I mentioned at the finance meeting, how much I appreciate the efforts made by the people at the animal shelter, Holly Henderson, to develop this app. That's my understanding. She did it on her own, and to move forward with this, the use of technology to improve the efficiency and to reduce paper recycling. I think she needs to be commended for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Committee received the Vantage Point Plan document, the newest 457 plan available to the employees of Chippewa County to utilize for retirement purposes. This is an employee-only funded retirement plan. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Shackleton, to approve and authorize Vantage Point Financial Group's plan documents as a Chippewa County 457 plan for employees to utilize if they so choose. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Inmate medical and drug insurance renewal, Blue Cross Blue Shield approval. The committee received a copy of the renewal administrative service contract for the term of July 2014 to June 2015 with Blue Cross Blue Shield. It was noted that the administrative fees would not increase and still be at 11% per contract. Last year, employees' benefits research availability savings, and none were available. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve the Blue Cross Blue Shield Administrative Services contract for Chippewa County inmates for a term from July 2014 through June 2015 with the administrative fee of 11%. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella.
Yes.
Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
The committee reviewed the information from the Personnel Committee meeting held March 18th as follows. The prosecutor informed the committee that he had notified DHS that he could no longer provide services to them. Chris Stabile informed the committee that he would have to contract the services out at $60 per hour or at a minimum of $50,000 per year. Mr. Stabile stated that the close tie with the prosecutor only makes sense for him to contract it out with the office rather than another attorney. Mr. Pepper suggested he would use the $50,000 to supplement an $85,000 a year prosecutor, bringing the county's portion to approximately $30,000 to $35,000 a year. In addition, Mr. Pepper said with the extra hours, he would be able to work on a drug court and an imaging system. The prosecutor also noted if revenue did not make $50,000 a year, he would eliminate the position. Also, there would be monthly billings, and some months may be low and others high. The committee was very complimentary of the thought that the prosecutor put into the idea and thought it worthwhile. The committee discussion ensued. Apparently that wasn't the discussion. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella to follow the motion from personnel to approve the prosecutor to hire a new assistant prosecutor and to contract with DHS to provide a minimal of $50,000 per year for the position with the county paying the rest of the salary and fringes, and that the new assistant would leave time for the prosecutor's office to continue with DHS cases of drug court and imaging. And if the position did not get $50,000 from DHS per year, the position would be eliminated. On the voice vote, the motion carried.
I would so move.
I'll support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? I just want to say one thing on this. And I said this at the Finance Committee, I just want to repeat it. When we're talking about a drug court, I'm not for it, I'm not against it, I am open-minded of it. What I would like is for us to talk to other counties in Michigan who are operating drug courts now and have been for a while to get a really solid handle on whether they are worthwhile and how much it costs to do such a thing. So, I want to make sure we know what we're doing. Commissioner McLean.
I'm sure that that will be taking place, because I know the fan group has already brought up the group from Sheboygan County, and they've made a presentation. And I also understand that the Sioux Tribe presently operates a drug court of sorts. And, I'm expecting that we will do a tremendous amount of research. I know that Judge Church has sort of moved forward with this, and this, I think, will all fit together and should progress even reasonably well. But I know we need to do due diligence. The other thing I want to mention at this point is that I want to thank the prosecutor for putting this together. This issue of staffing in the prosecutor's office has been a real sore issue over the last number of years, and I think with this initiative on his part, we've got him some help. We've hopefully take care of that problem. We can move ahead with a drug court, which is good for our community, I believe, if we do it right. And also that we move ahead with imaging, which again, makes us more efficient, more user-friendly, better to serve the people, and reduces paper, which goes into recycling.
You hate paper. You hate the timber industry in the UP, don't you? Let me just say again that the problem with all the drug court information I see is always from advocacy groups that are advocating drug courts. Okay. That's fine, but what I want is some independent research that is not advocating one position or another.
Good point.
Okay, Commissioner Cooper.
Couple quick things. First of all, in 2009, when we had a planning session and we put down what we wanted to see completed and fixed, and then two things I had mentioned were a mental health court and a drug court. So I'm not foreign to either one of those two things, and I think here we are, 2014, and we're still talking about a drug court that we don't have. Judge Church, when she was running, mentioned, and she gave us, that was one of her objectives, was a drug court. Now that she's running for re-elect, we're talking drug court again. But the cost, and as Scott alluded to, the cost is not the prosecutor. The most that he has to spend on that, he reviews a case apparently, and then 2 hours a week they have a meeting of professionals, and that's the most. That's where the prosecutor comes into the picture. And I'm willing to bet, and that's my opinion, that he probably spends more than 2 hours a week outside smoking. But that's just my. So anyway, so 2 hours a week there. The ImageSoft, he held that hostage, and again, this is Easter week, so this is very appropriate that this gets resurrected again. Jesus only got resurrected once. Drug court gets resurrected ImageSoft gets resurrected every so often. But so I mean, the folks that advocate for the ImageSoft has a win here. They can go out and tout that we're getting ImageSoft and we're going to become efficient. Although to become efficient, we have to hire another prosecutor, and I don't understand how the efficiency comes into the picture here, because we've got to get another prosecutor to become efficient. But anyway, those folks that want the ImageSoft can win on this one because they get it. The folks that want drug court, although it's only 2 hours a week at his time, can say they have drug court. And of course, the stats don't bear out, and we have less cases in district court, and we have less people going through the other court than the cases are down, but yet the caseload doesn't warrant that. And when we gave them an extra prosecutor from 2009 to 2012, for 4 years we had an extra prosecutor in there, and there was no change. And so I think the only one that loses on this one are the taxpayers, who will be picking up the tab for that prosecutor. Oftentimes we hear we have to do more with less. I think we're just a little bit backwards on this one, and I think we're doing a little bit less with a little bit more. But that's my opinion, and I'll vote no.
I understand your opinion. I'd like to point out that the prosecutor's office is going to have to do more drug prosecutions now that there is no longer a sane prosecutor. So I think there will be some additional caseload based on that. And I guess I'd also like to congratulate, I think, the prosecutor on bringing forward a something he's been advocating for a very long time and found a way to get over half of it paid for. That, along with becoming a grandfather during this meeting, certainly adds up to a hearty congratulations for me. So.
Thanks, Scott. And just to keep the commission informed, I haven't smoked in 8 years.
8 years.
So,
Congratulations
just
on
get
that.
the facts.
There's another congratulations for you. All right, so we have a motion in front of us. We've discussed it. Is all in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote nay.
Nay.
The motion passes with 1 nay.
Approval of policy 314, OPEB healthcare retirement vehicle and annual funding policy. The committee reviewed policy 314 pursuant to the Board of Commissioners' decision on December 16, 2013 to establish an OPEB healthcare retirement vehicle. And following the special finance meeting held March 13th, the policy is intended to provide the County Board of Commissioners with guidance regarding the OPEB healthcare retirement fund and ensure that Chippewa County's future contributions to the OPEB healthcare retirement vehicle to meet current and future liabilities for those employees who are eligible for retiree healthcare. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve policy 314 OPEB healthcare retirement vehicle annual funding as amended, including a chair, the county treasurer for the investment committee, and to include an annual meeting obligation at a minimum. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move. And I think Kelly attached the new.
Yeah, she made some changes to it, which
and attached it.
I think are good.
I'll support that.
So we have a motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there a discussion?
Just real quick, I just wanna make sure we keep it safe from the federal and state government. I never did hear back from that guy. So,
Well,
Detroit could be a lesson for us there.
any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Sheriff's Department duty firearm bid summary approval. The Sheriff's Department duty firearm RFQ received 1 bid timely from CMP with the 24 models coming in at $409 each. A discussion ensued. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to approve the bid from CMP to purchase 24 firearms for the Sheriff's Department at a price not to exceed $9,816 or $409 per firearm. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I was so moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Sheriff's Department vehicle notification. The Sheriff's Department vehicle RFQ received 1 valid bid from O'Connor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at the price of $22,795, which the board previously authorized the administrator to approve the low bid, and the vehicle's been ordered. Approval to release RFP for 17 desktop computers. RFP was presented for release to purchase 17 desktop computers. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella, to approve the RFP release to purchase 17 desktop computers. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella. Is that supposed to be B or P? Anyone know?
Request for proposal. It's
Or
supposed to be P.
she was saying request for bids, I'm sure.
Oh, request for bid.
Kind of the same thing.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on this motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Approval to release RFQ for the elevator maintenance contract. The committee received and reviewed the RFQ for the elevator maintenance contract to include 4 county elevators, 3 with current expiration date of August 2014 and 1 expiring April 1st, 2015. The maintenance contract will cover the quarterly and annual fire service tests and the 3-year hydraulic load test. It's moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella, to approve the release of the RFQ for the elevator maintenance on the county's 4 elevators as amended. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Claims and accounts, the committee reviewed the bills and payroll presented for approval. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to to recommend the approval of the general claims totaling $304,695.53. Other fund claims, $519,539.31. Payroll of $435,259.24. Health Department claims of $504,264.73. Total claims of $1,763,758.81. Vouchers H1 through H296. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support, gotta pay the bills.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
We went into closed session. We had a motion to go into closed session. It carried. The closed session ended at 5:35. At that point, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella, to approve the FOPLC union contract with the following changes. I guess we're just approving the contract as it was submitted to us. And I would move for that approval.
I'll support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Under committee comments, the committee started discussing recycling again. After no further business to come before the committee, we adjourned at 5:45, and I would move for the approval of these minutes.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Pastula, that the minutes of finance claims and accounts be accepted. And is there any discussion regarding that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. You have another one, Commissioner Cooper?
I do.
Oh, good.
But we took action on it already. Are you just gonna brief them?
That one there is just a lot of gobbledygook. There was no motion in that meeting. That was a workshop. And I guess Ted's right. We took action on that already. In that at that workshop, we were there with Tom Jordan, Phil Wolf, Margie Hank, Chuck Lenhart, Jim German, Christine Lundquist, Kathy Malport, Dave Martin, Kelly Church, the rest of the commissioners. And at that point is where we discussed that policy that we were going to, we came up and we passed that policy. So I don't know that we
Right.
got.
You don't need to read the whole thing, but we should accept the minutes.
Okay, I think you had time to review this, so I would move for the acceptance of these minutes
I'll support.
as presented.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner Kinsella, that the minutes of the special meeting of Finance Claims and Accounts Committee of March 13th, 2014 be accepted. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. So then we move back on our agenda to item 10A, which is Personnel, Equalization, Health, and Social Services. Commissioner Kinsella chairs.
Okay, I'll make it fast. The meeting was held. I called the meeting to order at 1 with the quorum president. Don and Ted and myself were there. No members were absent. Others present: Jim German, Brian Pepler, and Chris DeBeal. We went through, there were no additions, no public comments, no public there. The agenda items were the prosecutor request, which we took action on tonight. So I'm not gonna bother to reread it. It's word for word what we took action on. I just wanna say that in the committee, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to allow the prosecutor to hire a new assistant contracting with DHS to provide a minimal of $50K per year, and we all remember what we just voted on. So, next we moved to probate court descriptions. New job descriptions were presented for probate court register, court recorder, and probate register / CEO. Judge Church notified the committee that the new job descriptions fit the jobs better with actual day-to-day practice. It was moved by Commissioner Pastula, supported by Commissioner McLean, to approve the new job positions for probate court register / court recorder and probate register / CEO as requested by Judge Church. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and also moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion?
Are these at some point going to, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just wonder, now that we got new titles, normally a pay raise follows.
That's
and I don't know how
It's
that.
not in there.
They're the same titles, Commissioner, they're just
Okay,
different.
let's go one at a time. Commissioner McLean?
Sorry.
Okay, that was an issue that I brought up in the discussion, and I guess, whatever, we need to clarify it. It was agreed that there were no subsequent pay increases. You know, it was simply a change in job description and, not in the title, but just exactly what they're doing. And, we asked that real clearly and got that assurance that it's not gonna be something that next month they're going to come and say, okay, we have all these responsibilities, we're gonna ask for more money. Okay?
Did you wanna chime in on that? No. Okay, everybody set with that? Do we have a motion in front of us
Yep.
then on that? All right, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Circuit Court Personnel request, Mr. German noted that Marcy Smith was resigning and had submitted her letter. Judge Lambros submitted a letter to hire Stephanie Bumstead to replace her and said the new position in the FOC would need to be advertised. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula to accept the resignation letter of Marcy Smith. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I'll move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula to replace Marcy Smith with Stephanie Bumstead as the Circuit Court Recorder. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and also moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion on that motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Keep it up,
Constitution,
we're moving right along, Kathy.
Constitution Family Day, Administrator German noted that
4-H.
4-H, sorry, I speckled my glasses. And the League of Women Voters had requested an evening at the courthouse in which families and local youth would tour the building after hours and different department heads would explain their jobs. The evening would be September 17th and participation by staff would be voluntary. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Pastula, to support the Constitution Family Day on behalf of Chippewa County. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I'll move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Is there discussion? I'll just say it sounds like a kind of a neat idea. I'd be anxious to see how it turns out. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
It was moved by Commissioner McLean, seconded by Commissioner Pastula to adjourn the meeting. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and with that, I'd like to move for the acceptance of this report.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean, that the minutes of Personnel Equalization, Health and Social Services, meeting of March 18th, 2014, be accepted. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Commissioner Kinsella, you have one on April 9th?
Wow.
True or
Meeting.
not?
The meeting commenced at 4 p.m. in the County Administrator's Office. Members present, George Kinsella, Don McLean, Ted Pastula. Members absent, none. Others present, Kathy Loop, Appraiser, Equalization Department, Sharon Kennedy, Equalization Director. Agenda item, there were no additions. The agenda item, approval of the agenda, moved by Commissioner McLean, seconded by Commissioner Pastula. The agenda as presented be approved. On a voice vote, the motion was unanimously carried. There were no public comments, correspondence and information items, none presented. The main agenda item was the 2014 County Equalized Values. Equalization Director Kennedy and Appraiser Kathy Loop reviewed the process of arriving at equalized values, including land value, economic condition factor, 34 appraisal, and 15 sales studies. The assessor and boards of review function in the process, and ultimately the role of the county and state in establishing equalized value. Sharon Kennedy went on to present the 2014 county equalized values. The total 2014 equalized value for the county is $1,330,106,620. See page 1 of equalization report. She explained that the values presented on the report are the basis for completing the state-required forms, which must be completed and sent to the state before the end of April. The equalization process and the valuations presented were discussed in detail. It was soon moved by Commissioner McLean and seconded by Commissioner Pastula that the equalized values as presented by Equalization Director Kennedy be adopted as reported, and that all state required forms recording the same be completed and filed as required by statute. On a voice vote, that motion was unanimously carried, and I so moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner Pastula. Got that right? So discussion on the motion. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, it was tentative 2014 tentative taxable values. As an informational item, Director Kennedy also presented the tentative 2014 tentative taxable values and explained the cap value formula as it relates to taxable values. It was explained that the county's projected tentative taxable value is $1,086,567,654, which is a projected decrease of $3,776,305. And while there were increases due to new construction and uncapped transfers that occurred in 2013, decreases due to the newly enacted and authorized exemptions for properties moving into special taxation categories, our disabled veterans, certain commercial and industrial personal property, together with market adjustments in the commercial class in the city. The final taxable values for the county will be calculated in May after preliminary state equalization occurs and after all of the homestead qualified, ag qualified forest exemption information has been provided by the local assessors. Once these taxable values are finalized, all of the Headley calculations will be made by the director, and the county's operating millage after a truth in taxation public hearing is held will be determined by the county board. The 2014 tentative DNR/PILT taxable values show an increase of $587,466 over the 2013 values. It is noted that the DNR/PILT properties pay taxes at same rate as other qualified agricultural properties. Moved by Commissioner McLean and seconded by Commissioner Pastula, the taxable value information presented be accepted into the minutes. On a voice vote, the motion was unanimously carried, and I so moved.
Support. Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion? Commissioner Cooper.
After all that, and I see we have a decrease in taxable value, a projected decrease in taxable value. I also know, and I don't follow real closely, but the personal property tax, that's about to be, is that gone away? Is that eliminated? Have they replaced
I
it with
think
it?
it has to go to a public vote, doesn't it?
But no.
No?
Yeah, it's up for vote in August.
But
In
then-
August, then it would, if it's passed, it permanently goes away. If it isn't passed, we bring it back on.
But I'm just saying, that's gonna affect you guys' budget for next year. Both of
But
those things will have a factor, especially
Okay.
the personal property.
The legislature passed a revenue replacement,
Yes, they did.
anticipating that personal property
Okay, so
tax
that would,
goes away.
so, but then the decrease, and I didn't do the percentage here, it's not that big of a percentage, but I mean, we're gonna be held steady or decrease, right? Our taxable value. So I mean, that's something to bear in mind when you guys are working on it.
We also have our veterans exemptions, we're a
Right.
part of that as well. And the market did not climb drastically, it just sort of, as you saw in the equalization report, just a 0.28% increase. So it's rather stable.
Okay.
So
It's not growing.
it's not growing right now, but the taxable
And
value.
you know, I just think that's
it
gonna
will
be a
hit-
problem.
It'll hit a place and then it'll start coming back up because it grows by the rate of inflation. So right now we have those exemptions that we're dealing with that
Right.
will affect the taxable value. It works out for the county operating millage about $24,000.
Anyone else?
On this decrease.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? All right.
We got a motion.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Agenda items 2014 Truth in Taxation Public Hearing. Director Kennedy reviewed the process of establishing the county's operating millage rates, the timetable involved, and the necessity of holding a Truth in Taxation public hearing at the June meeting of the County Board of Commissioners. It was moved by Commissioner Pastula and seconded by Commissioner McLean. the county's truth in taxation public hearing be held at its June 9, 2014 meeting. And then Director Kennedy, as soon as the necessary data is certified and compiled, will submit the pertinent information to the administrator's office and the board so that the hearing may proceed within the deadlines established by law. On a voice vote, that motion unanimously carried, and I so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Gonzalez, supported by Commissioner Cooper. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
We did a summer tax roll processing and required studies as an agenda item. The Commissioners and Chairman Kinsella discussed the schedule for calculating final taxable values, headly fractions, millage rates, and processing tax rolls. The steps necessary to accomplish the task ahead. Kathy Loop, Equalization Department Appraiser, discussed the sales verification, vacant land study, and appraisal study process. Other items of concern, Equalization Director Kennedy explained that beginning with 2011, the continuing education requirements for certified personnel is increased to 30 hours in a 3-year period, in addition to specific annual mandatory class requirements. And while she did not have a schedule of those trainings yet, when the trainings are known, staff will be scheduled for those trainings as well as others throughout the year as she determines is necessary and relevant to departmental functions. Therefore, it was moved by Commissioner Pastula, seconded by Commissioner McLean, that should the need arise and in the discretion of the Equalization Director, in order to accommodate attendance at continuing ed classes with advance notification of administration, the office may be closed during those periods. On a voice vote, that motion was unanimously carried, and I so moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Kinsella, supported by Commissioner McLean, that, I guess the commission acknowledge and approve the schedule of the Equalization Director's offices that may have to be closed occasionally for the purpose of continuing education. Is that fairly put?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Commission comments. Chairman Kinsella and Commissioners McLean and Pastula once again complimented the entire department for a job well done on the reports presented. I just want to add, Sharon's job is I mean, you could hear me even have a difficulty reading this stuff. It's a very, very complicated process that she and her staff go through. And I just, want to reemphasize the fact that the entire committee is appreciative of the job she and her staff do. And I really want to add kudos here at this meeting. So with that being said, and hopefully recorded, I'll say that the meeting was adjourned at 4:40, and I move for the acceptance of this report.
Support
that.
Okay,
Motion made by Commissioner Gonzalez, supported by Commissioner Cooper, that we accept the minutes. Discussion?
Well, I just want to say too, and that equals, that's the bedrock, and I've always said that that's the bedrock of this whole, everything we build on is based on that equalization and making sure we get that stuff right. All the studies, all the taxable values, everything else, and that's what all of our taxable, our taxes based on that. And if Sharon and that gang down there aren't doing their job and pulling their weight, we are, on this end, we are, I don't want to say screwed, but you know what I mean, it'll have an adverse effect on us here, so yeah, I'd like to compliment them as well.
Anyone else?
I'm sure you'll pass that along.
You have our unanimous appreciation for the fine number of detailed work that you engage in daily.
For all that.
We have a motion to accept the minutes. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to new business. We have a resolution. This is regarding that OPIB healthcare retirement vehicle annual funding policy.
I'll move for the approval of resolution 1408.
Support.
Page 45.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooper, supported by Commissioner McLean. This is on page 45, and I think I thought we dealt with this earlier. I mean, I realize this is a resolution we have to approve.
We did the policy which had the detail.
Okay.
Garbled, and all this does is adopt the policy. But the policy 314 is the one that had the committee and the chairman of the committee, and
Right.
the frequency of meeting, a minimum, we had the minutia, I guess, verbal group, whatever you wanna call it. And this adopts that policy.
Okay. Is there discussion regarding the motion? Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinsella?
Yes.
Commissioner McLean?
Yes.
Commissioner Postula?
Yes.
And Chairman Shackleton?
Yes. So the resolution is passed. Are there any commissioner comments?
Just real quick, I want to make sure that we all understand, we have to be absolutely positive we do that process right, because it could be grabbed in the future, not by anybody here in this room, but by people outside this room.
What?
The governments of the state and fed, can take these if.
George, okay.
All right,
Those
I'm
are
just
fine.
saying, if we do the process right, it won't be a problem, so.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. So we got $3 million in that OPEB fund. Okay, how much does the government spend in a second? 1 second.
More than that.
More than that. So they're gonna come to Chippewa County and take our OPEB fund so they can piss it away in a second. No, it ain't happening.
I heard Obama's on his way right now. So I don't know if he's not gonna-
That's just so.
Let's get out of here before he gets here.
All right, I'd like to make a quick comment. We went through kind of a controversial issue here with the recycling. And I think we had, some challenging moments with, dealing with the issue. It was a tough issue. And I'm glad that we've resolved it and look forward to just moving on to other issues. And we'll just kind of put that behind us and realize now that we've analyzed it thoroughly and the board's made a decision. So, that's all I got.
I'll move adjournment.
Support.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Kinsella, adjourned by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Kinsella. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We are adjourned.